All right, guys, so look, I've spent probably 10 or 15 trips in the Jackson Liska now. You guys have already seen my boat overview, initial walkthrough video. So now I'm going to give you my Jackson Liska on the water, full day of fishing. So I've got a full day of fishing in the boat today, but I've also got several full days of fishing. So let me just go bow to stern, talk about the boat, and then talk about the criteria by which I judge boats and kind of where this boat ranks. Okay, so the boat has got a relatively flat nose on it, so it makes it decent for rivers. Not like the Coosa, where if the nose was angled up and it had a little bit more rocker, it would be a world-class riverboat. I like the bungees up on the front hatch, but then I hate them at the same time, because when you lay a rod down with a lure up there, it has a tendency to get caught up in it. So I think if maybe they went with just this knob up front and kind of left off the bungees, I guess I could also just take them off. And I really wish that the rods, right here where the rods contacted, I wish there was some kind of little slot to stage your rods in. Other than that, I really like the layout of the cockpit. I actually like this forward hatch because it allows me to put a mount up here. This thing is easy to open from the cockpit, so I can leave spare lures and things like that in there. I have a tendency to plug that scupper in there. If you don't plug that scupper, it just makes a god-awful kind of gurgling back and forth noise. Other than that, it's fantastic. Now, these scuppers right here are perfectly positioned to provide deck stability, that when you stand up and the deck slopes back, and I really like the fact that the deck slopes back so you don't end up standing in water. So Jackson really killed it with that. I do like the fact that there's a lot of track space, and I like the fact that they left some flat areas over here on the side of the boat for mounting extra tracks or torpedo throttles, or lines to cam cleats and things like that to operate your drag chain and things along those lines. This boat has plenty of track space. As you can see here, I've got a double header on here from Yak Attack. I've also got a drink holder. And then moving on back, I really like the seat setup. I just wish it was higher. If you can notice here, my legs are pretty much straight out. And I've kind of gotten spoiled by having my seat a little higher where my legs go down, and where that's a little bit more comfortable. So it does have a lower position, and this is the high position. I just wish it was a little bit higher, but it's plenty adequate. And one home run for this boat is the fact that the seat adjusts fore and aft. So if you're a bigger dude like I am, or if you're a smaller person that needs to get further forward, like my wife Christy, having the ability to adjust the seat fore and aft with these little tracks right here is awesome. And if I know that I'm not going to scoot forward, I can actually take a Yak Attack track mount. I could put a cup holder right there, and I like to put a cup holder there to throw old lures and trash and things like that in. But when I'm running the river, there's a lot of times where I want to scoot all the way forward, so I don't leave it there. Now, the boat paddles really well. It tracks the right amount. In other words, if you notice here, when I start paddling and I get a little bit of glide going, it's got a keel in the back and a keel in the front that really makes it track nicely, even out on an open lake in windy conditions. But if I take my paddle and I dig it in, if you see that, I just create a little bit of drag and the boat turns. So it's the right amount of tracking and the right amount of responsive. Volume is plenty. I paddled this boat before I started losing weight, and then all the way to right now. So I am currently sitting at 235, but I paddled this boat over 300 pounds, and it handled my weight just fine. Now, I get through a lot skinnier water now, but one other feature that I really like about this boat, and I talked about this in the boat overview, but now that I've actually used it, is I like the position of the cockpit. I like the fact that the tank well is oversized. I really wish it was easier to rig a motor. In fact, I just opted not to rig a motor on it because it wasn't really, plug and play. But everything is set up for it. You can run your tubing. I just wish they would have taken the time to put the tubing in so you don't have to do that extra step. It's something that's easy to do for me, but I think a lot of average folks that don't necessarily didn't used to own a kayak shop don't know how to do it, and it's just one more step. But the boat's power pole ready, which means it's also ready to receive the the Torqeedo bracket or whatever motor that you want to put on the back of it. Great paddle stagers on the side with these little finger tabs where you just set the paddle on the side. The one thing I don't like about the paddle stagers is if you're using anything on the tracks that sticks out at all, it renders those paddle stagers pretty much useless, but I have found them very useful, especially for the river, and putting a rod on backwards like this and then hooking it to that bungee and then dropping that rod down in the groove, and so it actually doubles as a rod stager. Now, I also like the fact that it's got flush mounts, and I've kind of gotten away from flush mounts over the years, but I'm a big fan of having those flush mounts easy to grab. I also wish I could have put them in versus them coming installed in the boat, because as you can see here, the rods stick out to the side, which means when you're going down a river, they're going to catch on everything that you pass. Or if you go back to make a cast, in a lot of cases you go back to make a cast right here and that rod is in your back cast. So I'm a bigger fan of actually having your flush mounts angled almost straight back. That way they're in line with the boat, they stay out of your back cast, and when you're going down a river, they're not sticking out as much. I don't troll, or if I wanted to do that, I would use like a Yak Attack Omega or something like that to get my rods out. So I like them. I just wish they would have been tweaked more in line with the boat, or maybe just less out. They don't necessarily have to be perfectly in line, but if I had the option, I would prefer to not have the flush mounts installed in the boat. Maybe they come in a bag, like Jackson provides the smiley face logo and a flag and a water bottle, and then be able to put them in myself. Again, I know that most people don't want to do that. Personally, that's just something that I wish I would have been able to do. The seat comfort is fine. The one thing you have to keep in mind, a lot like all of these suspension type seats, is keep those straps nice and taut. If you let them sag and you get inside it, you're going to rub your legs, especially if you're a bigger dude like I am, on the side. And the seat back on this one doesn't stay up unless you come up with some type of bungee system. So I wish it had like some type of bungee system when you put the back up to strap it to the back. But it was real simple. I put a hook on the bungee system in the back and I reach forward and hook it. I just wish it was kind of something that was done, because if you stand up and the seat falls down, you got to turn around and fight with the seat instead of just sitting down. The boat is super easy to stand up in. I outfitted my boat with a Rogue strap to pull the boat around, and it also doubles as a stand-up assist strap. So I've got the Rogue drag strap and I've got one of the Rogue extensions in there. I just lay it right there, makes it nice and clean, nice and easy. But I haven't done a lot to this boat. Everything that I put on this boat has been something that's removable, from the double header to a camera mount up front, camera mount in the back. In fact, I actually just took one of the Yak Attack boomsticks, cut the base off of it, and I could just stick it in one of the rod holders, and then I can grab it and use it as a, like a selfie video pole, or to do underwater releases. So guys, as you can see here, I'm in the wind, blowing, I'm running parallel, I'm not spinning around even with rods sticking up behind me. So again, the boat sits really well in the wind. You don't have a whole lot of hull slapping, hull noise. If I want to maneuver it, it maneuvers pretty well. And then when I stop, it kind of sits where I'm going. Those are 2 or 3 of the biggest features that you're going to look for in a fishing kayak. So real quick, I just wish the front hatch didn't have the bungees and had a little groove in it. I love the fact that the little cockpit right here, a little hatch, is easy to get to even from the seated position. I like the fact that they left the cockpit open and clean. Love the amount of tracks. I haven't really figured out anything to use these side tracks for. Again, I wish the seat was just a slight bit higher, maybe 2 or 3 inches, to get more of a downward leg angle, and to get your when you're standing up and sitting down, you don't have as far to go. And I think the boat is plenty wide and plenty stable to accommodate it. I love the oversized tank well. Gives you plenty of room. Like the fact that it's power pole ready. Wish it was a little easier to rig a motor with. All in all though, from weight, transportability, standability, fishability, I'm going to give this boat, out of a 5, an overall like 4.2, meaning there is a few things that I would change, a few little small things that could be addressed. But, guys, I'm not giving any 5s per se in this game. So when you look at comfort, stability, tracking, performance, comfort, all of those things. This boat is a 4. The only riggability, fishability thing that I gave it less than a 4 in would be that there was a few creature comforts that I wished the seat was a little bit higher. So I would have dropped the comfort down to a 3 just because of that. Which again, it's going to put this boat right at that 4.2 in the overall average. And it's really hard to go through and rank each one and explain it the way I normally do, just because this boat is a really good balance with like just a couple of tiny small misses, in my opinion, that keep it from being just an absolute home run. Again, I wish it had a little bit more rocker in the nose. I wish the stern keel extended past the boat but wasn't so deep so that you could get through even shallower water. I love the pontoon setup. The width to length ratio is great. The tracking to maneuverability ratio is great. It's a little on the heavy side, but not considering the length and the weight of the, the length and the width of the boat. So it's right in line with every other boat out there for length and width. So yeah, throw a black pack on this boat, a paddle holder to stage your paddle over to the side. And honestly, you don't need to do a whole lot. If you want to bring your coffee, throw a Yak Attack cup holder on there. And you don't have to do much to this boat to get a lot out of it. Again, a lot of stuff here if you need it, a lot of room left to do more stuff if you want to. Overall, I would recommend this boat to friends. For a river boat, I would probably suggest something a little bit different for a big water or a big lake boat. But for a small body of water, lake, easy to transport, throw in the back of the truck platform, I think that the Jackson Liska is a definite consideration. And yeah, hope you guys like this video. I will do one more video on this boat, the outfitting and rigging of the video, once I decide if I'm going to do any more outfitting and rigging to it, and if I do, what those things would be. And I'm also going to kind of look around on the internet and see if there's any great ideas that I may have not thought of or overlooked, and I'll share those with you guys in the next video, the outfitting and rigging kind of final thoughts video for the Jackson Liska. So anyway, guys, there it is. Again, I've done this boat previously, just kind of on the trailer, my initial impressions. This is my full day of fishing. And then last but not least, I'll give you guys my final thoughts on it, where I rank each category, where I talk about rigging and outfitting. So be on the lookout for that video in the upcoming weeks. Y'all do me a favor, smash that thumbs up if you like this type of video. Leave a comment in the comment section if you think that there's something that I overlooked. And if you have a Jackson Liska, then obviously comment in the comment section and let me know if there's something that you think I was maybe wrong on, or maybe something that I missed that you think I should have spoken more about. So anyway, love y'all. See y'all in the next video.